Happening everybody, welcome back to R44's YouTube channel. Today we are not in the workshop, we are in the showroom where you find our Mexico Blue G80 and our GT3 RS. It's very early in the morning. We're heading out today over to Regal Motorsports, which is the European distributor for CSF, and we are today installing 3 items from the CSF range for the S58, G80, G82 platform to cool down the car. So the car is running a stage 2 map, around 720 horsepower, about almost 900 Newton meters. It's a relatively quick car, but next steps are trying to find the stage 2 plus kind of maximum that we can push the car before we go for hybrid turbos and then uprated internals. But less about that, more about this. So we've got the inlet manifold here. So this is like the holy grail piece. So the inlet manifold on the car, we'll go into it in further detail once we remove the stock one and fit this one. So this is a full billet piece, which you'll see shortly. Wow, it's the first time I've seen it. So opening up the box, we've got a load of accessories. We're going to go into these in a lot further detail when we're over at Regal, and we've got the car on the ramp and we've stripped down the car. So you can really see the differences, but let's pull this out. Beautiful, really lightweight piece. Wow, there she is. So matched up in Mexico Blue. It was a very hard decision for us, really, for what we were going to do in terms of the color. Were we going to keep it raw finish? So on our F80, we've actually gone for black at the moment. We've now changed it to raw look, polished with a frozen kind of look to it. So we kind of was a bit unsure, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. What do you think, Dylan? In the engine bay, this Mexico Blue paint match with some carbon fiber from Venturi, it's going to look really good. So I kind of want to go into it in detail, but I'm going to leave it until we compare it directly next to the OEM piece, because I think that's where you're really going to see the differences, the benefits, the larger inlets and things like that. But obviously, first glance, what a beautiful piece. And shout out to Ravi, the guys over at CSF USA and IND for getting the paint match pretty damn good. Look at that. Considering it's not the most popular car color, it's quite hard to get matched. So let's about that, more about the next option. So let's find you, let's cut that there, and let's grab the next box. All right, so we've now got the transmission cooler unboxed. Obviously, it's an uprated transmission cooler, which is a must-have. Obviously, when you're pushing power, we're running an uprated map on the transmission, so increased pressures, much better shift times, but obviously that comes with increased strain on the gearbox. So a cooler's a must, and the best thing about probably the best thing about it is the rock guard that's pre-installed. So obviously the biggest issue if you're from the F-Series game across all platforms, they always have issues with stones hitting the coolers, whether it be a transmission cooler or any cooler on the front end, and causing issues, and BMW didn't cover it under warranty. So yeah, a real touch that these have rock guards pre-installed. But yeah, obviously as always with CSF, really nice quality piece, all blacked out, so it's going to look really nice and stealth under the front end. But yeah, again, we'll go through more of the technical side of things once the other one's stripped down, because I really want to show you OEM versus CSF and their upgraded version. So let's put this aside and have a look at the last piece of the puzzle and show you what it is. All right, so the last piece of the puzzle, again, a really beautiful piece, is the front mount heat exchanger in Mexico Blue. But I'm only joking. Let's have a little look. What's inside this box? So it's actually all polished, looking beautiful. It's just some protection. But this is an uprated front mount heat exchanger with a rock guard as well. So again, CSF always have the products on lock. And again, how beautiful is that? So it's got some of the aesthetic stuff we'll go more into. Again, OEM comparison will come later down the line when we're installing it. CSF logo on the front, rock guard pre-installed on the top side. You'll have another cooler along the front, so that will be protected. And then all the outside is polished to perfection. So maybe we'll have to grab some of our ceramic and give it a nice ceramic coating, just to prevent any like build up, and obviously where it's metal, there's some low spots. So if we can cover that in with some ceramic coating, that'd be quite cool. Keep it nice and polished at all times. But it's always a really nice piece, really nice connections, lovely welds, and just good quality. But yeah, we're gonna wrap that up here. We're gonna throw these in the car. We're gonna head over to Regal, and we're gonna talk to the Regal team, which have been distributing for CSF for some time now, have huge amount of experience, and kind of let them guys show us all the ins and outs of CSF and why we've opted for it on our G80 M3. But yeah, that's with me. Let's get on the road and see you guys soon. All right, we are here. We are at Regal. Ash is the man. So Ash is the man, one of the guys and girls behind Regal, as well as CSF Europe. And obviously we're here today to install them. This is their second install?
Yeah, second install. So we did the install on Absolute Motors, which I think you work with as well. Anyway, so you know those guys. So yeah, he wanted to come down and show you guys how to fit it. Yeah. So we'll get you guys all trained up, how to install the intake manifold, the heat exchanger, transmission cooler, all that kind of stuff, and obviously get you prepped for bigger turbos.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we guys are the kind of the EU distributors for CSF, and they'll be showing us how to install it on our car, run us through things. We're here for 2 days, and then we're going to visit their cars and coffee meet on the Saturday, and primarily just get everything fitted, ready for the next stage of mapping. But yeah, we'll keep this brief, we'll get inside, and we'll get the parts in front of the car and start stripping down, I guess, and showing the comparisons, and we'll just showcase the process behind it all, and yeah, all that fun stuff.
Let's get started. Okay, so we've got the factory charge cooler removed from the M3, and we've got the CSF charge cooler in front of us as well. Obviously, this one has been finished in a custom Miami blue color, as opposed to having the standard raw billet aluminium. And CSF can color match them in pretty much any kind of color, any kind of finish that you want. So talking about the benefits of the CSF manifold versus the standard manifold, one of the big ones that we're seeing at the moment, especially with cars that are tuned beyond standard, so stage 2 or with big turbos, is that the factory manifold can actually fail. So the factory manifold can fail in one major way, and it's that the factory core is crimped onto the plastic end tanks. And what can happen over time, especially with elevated boost levels, more heat, things like that, is that this plastic part can essentially explode off. So then what that means is obviously it's open to air, and obviously you can have water leak issues as well, with the water going inside the engine, which is obviously something you don't really want. So as well as performance wise, it's reliability. And then talking about the fun stuff, which is obviously performance wise, CSF Charge Cooler, one of the main benefits is it has much higher cooling capacity than the standard intercooler. So again, what happens is once you elevate the boost levels, the factory charge cooler, which was once adequate for the standard boost pressure, is no longer adequate, and you have a bit of a performance loss. So with the CSF charge cooler, you'll be able to maximize the power from the hardware that you have fitted from the car, especially if you're running big turbos. As well as that, there's a few other things that the kit come with. So it comes with this Kylex inlet manifold gasket / spacer. So what this does is it isolates the heat from the head away from the heat on the charge cooler, or rather separates the heat from the head from the charge cooler, so it means that less heat transfer to the charge cooler. So that helps with the charge cooler staying cool. As well as that, there's a lot of extra ports as well. So talking about the fueling, nitrous and water meth, which is added to this, CSF charge cooler comes with a fuel rail, which has also been custom colored in the Miami blue, and then has ports for nitrous and your water meth. Other things that might be useful for people as well is that we've got a vacuum pad on here, which you've got up to 3 different options that you can use for obviously the different vacuum sources that you might want to run, an extensive fitting kit as well. So all that's left to do is get this fitted to the G80, and then we'll jump onto the transmission cooler and heat exchanger and talk you through those. the factory heat exchanger and the factory transmission cooler removed, and obviously we've got the CSF parts here in front of us. So earlier on we fitted the charge cooler, so that extracts the heat from the compressed air and then puts it through into the water system, and that water goes into this heat exchanger. So this heat exchanger's job is to exchange that heat that's in the water with the ambient air. So the more efficient that you can make this, the cooler the water that's then going to the charge cooler to cool the air will be. And that's why it's important to upgrade this. So the CSF item which we've got here in front of us is a completely all aluminium radiator. So just like the charge cooler, it's got a common failure point around the crimped on ends here. So obviously the CSF cooler won't fail in the same way. The other benefit of the CSF cooler is that it's much thicker and also has a much more efficient core as well. And CSF uses what's called a B-tube core rather than a conventional O-tube, which has about 15% more efficiency than an O-tube, and also has less weight comparatively because you can use less material to achieve the same strength. As well as that, we've got more reliability on the front because we've got a rock guard. So people that are installing the grills where there's less protection, this is very, very important. So this, again, will go working hand in hand with the charge cooler to keep the charge temps cool. And then we've also got the transmission cooler. So you've got the factory transmission cooler here, and we've got the CSF one here. And what you probably can't see immediately is it's double as thick because it's actually got two cores working in conjunction to improve the cooling of the transmission cooler. So as well as having essentially two coolers integrated into one, it's 2 rows taller, so it has 2 extra tubes on both of the cores. So it has 18 rows on the front, 18 rows on the back, as opposed to just having one 16-row core. And that has a surface area increase of well above 100%, and also adds transmission fluid capacity of around 800 millilitres, which is obviously quite considerable. So what this will do is help the transmission to operate in its optimal condition temperature-wise for more of the time. So for example, if you're using the car on track use, a hot day, or even obviously increase the power considerably from standard, like the guys at R44 are intending to do, that's going to put a lot more heat through the transmission, and this is going to work to keep that heat down so the transmission can continue to work as it's intended. So yeah, that's everything you need to know essentially about these two bits. Let's get them fitted to the car.
What's happening, everybody? We're back in London with the car, and yeah, run really well. So shout out to the guys at Regal for teaching ourselves how to just install it as per the manual pretty much. They are the guys that do CSF here in Europe, but now we're all trained up, we have all the information to install it, and if you want to shop online, we have some in stock. But again, we got the inlet manifold, the radiator, and the transmission cooler. The main aim is to keep everything cool as possible, but primarily doesn't really make much difference now. It's when we go into the next step of the build. So Tom will take care of that, and we'll touch briefly on what's next when we get there. But the aim is to get past the 800 horsepower and get our 100s to 200s and quarter mile down a little bit more. We also had a really good time at the event, so shout out to everybody that came. It was really good to see some good faces, some old faces, and some new faces. And then we've got RF80 M3, so you're still in the F-Series platform. Don't worry, you don't need to get a G-Series. You can still make this crazy fast, crazy enjoyable. R1, if you haven't seen, the links will be in the description about what's happened to it. But we do have dribbles of CSF on there, but we are changing all the radiators and transmission coolers over to CSF on that car, again, to just see what the differences make and maintain it. Because this is our kind of road legal track car to replace the day in, day out track days, because this thing is primarily quarter mile car now. But yeah, less than me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions regarding the CSF stuff from F-Series M2s, all the way to 140Is or the G80 platform, hit up our sales team. We've had loads of training recently and just experience building up with the CSF stuff. So we've got pretty much answers to everything. If we don't have it, we'll talk directly with CSF to help you. But yeah, as always, like, subscribe, hit that bell button, see what's next with these cars.